What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Dylan Talks Tone. Welcome to Tuesday afternoon, the Just Gonna Say It podcast. We are gonna have some fun today. I want to hear from you a little bit, and I'm gonna tell you what I have been up to for the last week or so. Some pretty neat stuff, and yeah. So we're gonna chat guitars. Hope everybody's having a good week so far. My voice is still sort of not all the way there. I'm actually drinking tea today, trying to get it back. Trade show throat is a thing. It's a real thing. So, before we get started, just let everybody know this is one of those ad-free podcasts. So if you, during the live stream, if you want to, contribute to what we're doing here, you can use a super chat. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can ask guitar questions and all kinds of things. Just put a bunch of question marks in front of your question over here, and I'll try to catch it. If you leave a super chat, we'll drop what we're doing. We'll try to answer that one right away. And also support what we do at the channel by going to DylanTalksTone.com and buying pickups and etc. I should tell you that I believe the boxes, the mystery boxes for January, are going to ship this week. So I'm waiting on one more thing to show up. And so then we will be ready to ship that stuff. I'm trying to do it all at once so everybody gets everything at once. So I've got pretty much everything compiled and we're all ready to go on it. So it's pretty neat. I'm excited to share that stuff with you. For those of you that are interested, we are down to 2 of the 5 exclusive Texas Toast guitars that we built. One of them is behind me. The black one is sold. The gold one over here is still available. So you can go to Dylan Talks Tone and check those out as well. So that's what we did in California. We actually didn't go to the NAMM show. I had a bunch of people asking me if I went. And the answer is no. I was going to get a badge anyway. We were exhibiting at the Woodwire and Voltz show that was put on by Curtis Novak and Carlos Lopez from Castadosa Guitars and Curtis Novak Pickups. And so that's where that was our main, obviously, goal of going there. I exhibited with the Texas Toast guys, and we showed these guitars. That was kind of the main thing. And to try to show this dealer model to some other folks, and had some good meetings. It was really good. We had a really good time. Met a lot of really good people, and it was very productive. And I think for those guys especially, it's going to be very productive. So I'm very happy to be a part of that. Got to meet to a lot of, hang on, let's try that again. I got to meet a lot of really cool people. I knew a bunch of really cool people, but I also got to meet a bunch of really cool people. This show that we did was more premium instruments. It was pretty curated, the number of brands that were there and the type of brands that were there. One of the things I will tell you is I already feel this way, but it really validated the point that for every one person that gets in the comments and says that premium guitars are nobody buys them, there's 5 people that'll actually buy them. We were at this show, and I want to say that there might have been one guitar that was priced lower than mine in the whole place. And there was a bunch of guitars that were $7,000-8,000. Between 6,000 and 8,000 was pretty common. So, and they were all selling. Everything was selling. So, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see that people like nice stuff. And I'm really glad that that's the case because, we make nice stuff here. So I'm grateful for all of you who appreciate, high quality premium stuff. Because that's what we do here, at Dylan Talks Tone. So I thank you very much for those of you that support that. The other thing that's interesting is the amount of people that watch our stuff, watch what we do, who never comment. You would think by the comment section that, that a certain type of people is the only type of people that watch our channel, but that would not be the case. I want to say 3 or 4 different people from the Fender custom shop approached me and said, yeah, I watch all your stuff. Somebody from Lawler walked up to me in the middle of a crowd and said, hey, are you Dylan from Dylan Talks Tone? I said, yep. And he goes, I'm the GM at Lawler and I love your channel. Yeah, just mad mutual respect. It was really cool. It was one of those times where you could just be in a room with a bunch of really cool people and just really respect what they do. And it made me feel really good about what we do. You know, for as many negative comments as you get on a daily basis, you know, that you're not doing it right or that your stuff is too expensive or blah, 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 or Harley Benton this and that. You know what? It really gave me a lot of confidence to say, you know what we're really doing? We're on the right course and we're on the way, man. And it was really awesome to be in a group of people that were that cool, because it wasn't just the people in the room shopping. It was the other vendors too. There was none of this like spying on each other and is your guitar better than mine? Is mine better than yours kind of stuff. It was very positive. It was super cool. It was much more positive than people want to. There was no competition, right? Of course, everybody wants to sell stuff, but there was not a competitive spirit in the room. It was really refreshing. You know, I really liked that. It was a really neat place. One of the highlights of the show was that Abigail Ibarra came by, and Carlos brought her over and introduced her to me, and she got to looking at my guitars, and she's like, man, these are really nice. These are like really well done. And I'm like, well, thanks. And then we talked about pickup stuff and other stuff for maybe half an hour, and then she came again the next day. Got to chat with her a little bit more, and actually exchanging information with her and her daughter, and we're gonna hopefully be working on some stuff together. So that's very, very cool. We also did network with a bunch of people that I'm hoping to get on the podcast, where, you know, like we pre-record them and then play them on Tuesdays. So I've got a whole list of people that hopefully we will be able to, you know, network with and that kind of thing and have on the podcast. So it was just a really awesome experience. I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, trade show throat. Hey, Chris, how you doing, man? Yeah, I still feel it. I'm still been struggling the last couple days. So yeah, tea today. Apple cinnamon. I should put some salted caramel vodka in here, but I've got to be somewhere later, so probably won't do that. But I did want to go through, I did follow some of the stuff that went on at the NAMM show. Of course, I had a bunch of friends over there and was texting back and forth and et cetera. And then, of course, afterwards, I was talking to some folks that were there, and I was looking at some of the articles and this and that. And I was just going to share a couple of things that I kind of think are neat. Let's see. Marcus Graff says, in the age of e-commerce and digitization, fair like NAMM or other fairs seem outdated and unnecessary. The social factor and event character seems to be the main reason now. Any thoughts? Well, you know, okay. So as a consumer, maybe. As a consumer, I understand your point. However, NAMM's not for consumers. Okay, I think a lot of people forget that. NAMM is a trade show. So NAMM is an industry trade show. So it is for people in the business. So basically, the idea is for the company to have a physical interface point with as many potential dealers, which are their real customers, okay? The end user is not the company's actual customer. The dealer typically is, or the distributor. So an industry trade show is really for that, and you need that. I would say Chris would probably agree with me that you need to be in the room with the folks that are going to represent your company. It goes a long way. And it's the cheapest, most expensive, cheapest way to do it. So you could drive around the country and see as many dealers as you want. You could do all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's just more productive. And it's not actually during the trade show. Chris would probably agree with me too, that most of the work that we got done was after hours, right? The point of these shows is to get everybody in the same place. Now, does that happen at a bar afterwards on the back of a napkin a lot of times? Yeah. It doesn't matter though. The idea is to get everybody in the same town at the same time. And sometimes it's even, hey, Brianna, he has the TV remote. Can you please come get that from him? Hey, do not. Thank you. We're still puppying over here. So, yeah, it's all about connection. There's an endless list of grievances surrounding trade shows, probably in every industry. This is Matt. Exhibitors lament that they are a marketing anachronism at best, and cling to life support for life support. I do agree, but at the same time, while you're there, it is some of the benefit of them is that personal interface. You know, the fact that, and Matt was just saying he's starting to change his mind on it too. And as you start to understand how to do them, you know, and the type of work, what your goal is when you go to one, as far as an exhibitor goes, as far as somebody who is participating in them, you understand what you do, right? You understand what you're doing there, what the purpose of it is. It is not to sell to end users, right? It is to network with other industry people. It's to get as many industry people in the same room at the same time and see what work you can get done. A lot of times, for example, I was talking to somebody else. I was talking to one of the other people, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know that that's what you were looking for." Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. This is one of the purposes that I have here. Oh, okay. I have somebody that I'm going to send over to talk to you, right? That was another guitar builder. So those types of conversations and those little 30-second interactions that might accidentally happen really, really help. They really, really help. And so these are things that you can't do through emails. These are things that, you know, when you catch something out of the corner of your eye and then ask somebody a question, that has to be done in person. That can't be done over the internet. And so this type of human interaction, it's honestly, I think it's what's keeping it going. I think it's what's keeping, I've been preaching this a lot lately about putting the people back into what we do. And yes, e-commerce is an easy way to acquire an object, right? So if you, here's the way I look at e-commerce. We're getting really off in the weeds here, but when we think about guitar stuff, okay? To buy a guitar, that's easy, right? You can hit the Sweetwater link and it'll be at your house in 2 days. To decide what guitar to buy is not as easy. So you need human interaction to decide what guitar to buy. Now that human interaction could come from a Facebook group. Hey, what do you think about this guitar? I'm thinking about buying this guitar. It could come from a forum. It could come from an interaction with a salesman, through email or through a chat or in person in a store. It could come through a YouTube video. It could come through speaking with a sales rep. It could come through a long-term acquired impression of a brand that is still created through some human interaction, right? So human interaction is really important to the decision-making process of what you're going to buy. That and we don't think of it like that because we're in some Facebook group somewhere, or we're in, I did this all online, but it doesn't matter. The internet is just people talking to each other. When people say, yeah, that's how the internet is, no, that's human beings talking to each other is what the internet is, right? So you're talking to another person, you're making a decision based on a guitar. Now, the purchasing of the guitar is easy. You just hit the button. I mean, I bought my Fender Custom Shop double cut while I was waiting in line at a coffee shop, right? Like it was a Saturday morning. I was in line. I think it was at a Dunkin' Donuts. We were out doing something, and I was like, oh, hey, this just came up. Let me blah, blah, blah. And I ordered my stuff. And while I'm waiting for my coffee, I ordered a Fender Custom Shop. Now, did I come to that decision right then? No, I've been thinking about it for years. And I've been using all these other metrics that are human interactions, talking to my friends, doing all this other stuff. So this is really, really important. And so I think that trade shows put this stuff back in it. And they also, they also validate the art in a sense. When you're in a room with a bunch of people, so the internet does the people on the internet. I'm not going to say the internet. The people on the internet do a thing where they reduce every object to a pile of parts. Therefore, I think this guitar should cost this much because it's this brand, it's made in this country, it's made of this stack of parts, and therefore it should cost $5.99. And this other one has these other parts, and it's made in this other country, so therefore it should cost $12.99. And I am the person who says that anything more than $12.99 is diminishing returns, therefore it is not worth it at all, right? That's what happens on the internet. But when you get humans in a room standing around looking at guitar stuff, and you can start to appreciate the time, the art, and everything that goes into an instrument, and it becomes this more important thing. Because all of a sudden, you're talking to Matt and Chris about the months and months and actually years of development that they've got into this model, right? And the months that I've got into developing these with them, and the hours and hours and hours and hours of actual work that it takes to put these things together and make a thing, right? So therefore, you cannot just reduce it to clicking a button and it shows up at your house 2 days later, even though physically that's what really happens. Being in the same room, being at a trade show, talking at a dealer, talking with people, with other human beings, is what builds that appreciation. Just buying on the internet is kind of what kills it, in my opinion. Interpersonal relationships still matter. That's good to hear. It is all about connections. Exactly. Yeah. I just think it's real important, to talk about it. Don't forget about the smell. The smell is important. It's really funny. We were at this guitar show, and you could tell the guys that were working till the very last minute to get their guitars ready because they still smelled wet, even though they weren't. But you know what I mean? Fresh paint still smells like fresh paint. So there was this one corner in particular. I won't mention any names, but there was this one corner in particular, and you go over there and it's like, oh my gosh, it smells like tongue oil over here, and it just got finished yesterday. It was pretty funny. Yeah. But, that's what you have to do. Matt and Chris and I were joking about the fact that 4 or 5 days before this guitar show, it felt like our Orange County choppers, just parts flying around and sparks, and we had some damaged stuff, and I had to next day air some things, and just crazy things to make things happen. But you make it all happen. I just think it's really fun. Yeah, the smell is very important. I agree. Let's see. So yeah, I think this whole concept is important. I was actually talking to, or actually I was watching a video, and I want to actually speak with him about it. But one of my buddies, Steve, who has another YouTube channel, he was saying that he feels like the trade show is coming back because we are kind of resurrecting that human interaction. And I think it's really important. I just think, and especially when you're building appreciation for something beyond an actual object that functions. Okay. So I talk about this all the time. Um, the easiest way I can, so let's take, and neither of these people are wrong. Okay. But you have your Fender custom shop, your Gibson custom shop, or your Texas Toast boutique guitar owner. Okay. And then you have, your Harley Benton guy, your Epiphone guy, your Squire guy. Okay. And those are actually three different people, but we're going to lump them together. They're different people, right? And the objects that they choose to employ are different objects. Okay. You have heard the BMW slogan over the years, the ultimate driving machine, right? The ultimate driving machine is engineered for someone who enjoys the act of driving, right? So I always bring this back to automobiles because I am such a gearhead. So in my opinion, there are commuters and there are drivers. I'm a driver. Okay. So a commuter will buy a Toyota Prius or buy a Corolla or buy a smart car or whatever because they get in the car, they close the door, they start the car, they drive to work. It gets them to work. It commutes them. It gets them from here to there in a specific amount of time, and so they can go on about their day, right? They are a commuter, and they have a tool that does that. The state of that tool is it needs to function, right? So it is a car. It has four wheels. It has air conditioning. It has power windows. It has all the things. It's probably got Apple CarPlay now. It's 2025, right? So it's got all the things. But then there's a driver who enjoys the act of the driving the vehicle. And he requires a different tool, right? So it's got to be fast. It's got to handle. It's got to do more things that are still the same, but more. Because he appreciates more nuanced things about the act of driving. It's the same thing with guitar stuff. There are many, many folks who will buy a guitar that looks cool, functions as a guitar, and does all the things. And that's okay. That's totally great. And then there are other folks who want more. And they're right too. They just do different things and they have different goals with their instruments. And so when you are a person who wants something more out of your instrument, whether that be you want more story, you want more refinement, you want more features, you want more craftsmanship, you want more, a lot of the untold things, right? Like just knowing that somebody spent time on this and it just didn't come out of a machine. That's a thing, right? So that it has value for some people. Now, it doesn't have value for everybody, but it has value for some people. But when you're trying to do that, it takes more time to understand that. And it also takes more time to explain that. So a trade show, for example, will do more to help people understand what's going on in a guitar, something like this, when they already know that a Squire Strat's a Squire Strat and it came out in a new color, right? So there's different things that need to be focused on, and it takes more or less time depending on what you're trying to get people to appreciate. And I think it's really important to think about those things as different things, right? Well, that guitar is just the same as, no, it isn't actually. No, it's not. And it's cool. I'm glad because we are all different people and we all require different things. Hey, buddy. It's as fluffy as it's going to get. Good boy. As soon as he lays down, he'll actually lay down, but. Oh, let's see. I'm going to go through some of these comments here really quick. Well, you can't buy stuff at trade shows. Let's see. There's a process of learning and learning to appreciate more high-end guitars. I think that's the way it is with high-end anything. I think when you put, when you have an object that takes longer to make, that is made of a better material, that, you know, all those things, unless you understand the difference, there is no difference, right? When somebody says there's no difference between this Gibson and this Epiphone, they're just cost. Well, it's because you don't understand the difference, which is totally fine. Because you know what? You just saved yourself $2,000. And I think people get this backwards. Like they feel worse or they feel looked down upon or whatever. And maybe the internet does that to some people, but I don't look at it like that. I'm like, look, if you don't appreciate, I don't know, an expensive pocket knife and you just want to spend $30 on one at Bass Pro Shops, I mean, and it does the job for you, then good, because it saved you $300. Or it saved you $2,000 between a Epiphone and a Les Paul, Epiphone and a Gibson Les Paul, and you're still enjoying it just as much as I'm enjoying my guitar, because we appreciate different things. We are both enjoying the hobby the same amount, but we just appreciate different things. Super cool. But I think the trade show does that. I really do. So a couple things that I looked at this show, that at the NAMM show that I thought were interesting. One is the Spark Neo headphone amp. I couldn't find a link to this. Now, some of this stuff is linked in the description because I did find it. They are affiliate links. If you use those links, at least to just go look around, even if you're not going to buy anything. It's totally fine. Just go look around. Because they can still see when you click on stuff, and it means, hey, look at that. These people are watching this video and they're interested in this stuff, even if you don't buy anything. So just go click around and check it out. But a couple of things that I thought were interesting. The Spark Neo headphone amp, although they don't have a link on that anywhere, I couldn't find any more information besides the blurb at NAMM about it. So it's basically going to kind of be like the Katana headphones, which I kind of like. So I'm interested in the positive grid version of that. I don't know how much they'll be. You know, their customer service can kind of be a little dodgy, so we'll see about that. And then the other thing that I thought was really cool, hang on one second, because I'm a dork and can't remember this stuff off the top of my head. Oh yeah, the PV Decade. So the Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age PV Decade guitar amp. So it's a 10-watt solid state little amp that when you crank it wide open is really fun sounding. That's a pretty neat deal. That's available on Sweetwater right now. I dig that a lot. Marshall came out with a bunch of pedals that are basically to emulate their different amps, which I think is great. I mean, we've probably had some version of this through some other pedal, you know, Bluesbreaker and etc. for many years. But if Marshall's going to do it themselves, I think it's cool. I dig that a lot. Let's see. I'm going to save that one for last because I want to have a conversation about it and see what you guys think. Fishman, Greg Cox Strat pickups. All of their other pickups are cool. And so I bet those are going to be awesome too. The Telly ones are really good. I put those in a buddy of mine's guitar and they were really, really good. So that's pretty neat. The Boss VG800, which is sort of, I mean, it's a modeler, but it does a bunch of different stuff, synths and everything. So it's like Tonex size, but a Boss one, which looks pretty neat. This is sort of niche-y, but Levy's came back with a leather guitar bag It's like $700 because it's leather. But if you're really into bougie guitar bags, that's killer. Those are neat. I really like those a lot. And then I don't know how to say this guy's name. I actually don't know who he is, so I don't care about the whatever you want to say about him. I don't know who he is, but the Reverend Ryan Maliski, I think, or Maliksi, or however you say his name, Malisi. It's a Jet 390, and it's in mauve with cream pickups. And I'm like, this is sick. It's like rose, metallic. And I love a Jet 390. So that's really cool because it's got 3 P90s in it. Obviously, I'm going to be down for that. So that thing's neato. That thing's available now. It's available actually in a couple different colors. So if you don't like pink guitars, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't like pink guitars, you can get it in a different color too. And then lastly, and I put a link to this in the description too, Fender is doing, and I'm assuming that this is to do with, I mean, I don't want to get into it here, but I'm assuming this is to do with some sort of politics thing or tariff something, or I'm assuming. I don't know. We don't need to get into it in the comments. I don't want to talk about politics here, but it just feels like that's what they're doing. The Telecaster, they came out with a standard range. Well, back in my day, an American standard was standard. Like that was a Telecaster. But now they're made in Indonesia. And so it looks almost like they've got a Squier that's not a Squier. It just says Fender on it. So a couple things could be happening here. I don't know if there is a licensing thing, because Fender Squier is owned by Fender, but it's also designed by Fender. I don't know how that trademarking works, but there might be something in the branding that had to change. Also, it's possible that they had to figure out a way to make a guitar that says Fender on it for cheap enough because of Mexico. So I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning there is. And I know some people that I could talk to about it, and I haven't gotten a chance to talk to them about it because they were at NAMM and they were busy. So I'm going to try to get some phone calls this week and find out what the deal is, why that is. Because now you have a Fender Stratocaster, Fender Telecaster, Fender Jazz Bass, Fender, whatever, made in Indonesia for $599. It's basically just a Squier. I mean, that's where the Squiers are made now. So most of them. So there's some Chinese ones, but most of them are made in Indonesia now. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know why they would do that. It's got to be some future-proofing thing. It's got to be something to do with branding, something to do with, it's not a better or worse guitar or a new guitar or anything like that. There's something going on there that caused them to do that. And I'm not sure of that, but I'm pretty sure of that. What do you think about that Chinese company buying Marshall? Do you think the quality will drop? Yes, the Marshall family still owns a very small portion of the company. I think that it'll get bigger because there'll be more money behind it. It'd probably save it, to be honest with you. And the amps are already made. Here's the thing. People think that all of a sudden, because something got bigger, that the quality will get worse. It's just not the case. It can be the case, but oftentimes when you get an infusion of money into a company, quality can improve. Consistency can improve because manufacturing can become more vertical. Meaning that, let's say you have a small company, or a small to medium company, or even, Marshall's pretty big, but let's say they've got to have this made over here, this made over here, this made over here, and they bring them all together and they make them. They put it all together and they make an amp. Well, if you have a bunch of money and you can put that all under one roof, or you have the space, or you have the money or the whatever, the resources to say, all right, well, now we don't need to outsource this, this, and this, and this. Now quality goes up. I mean, that happened here with Dylan Talks Tone. Like, our quality got better because I got bigger. You know, I didn't sell out and I didn't borrow any money. I just spent it. But I bought more equipment. I got bigger. And therefore, my quality went up because I was able to verticalize manufacturing. And so I don't think it has anything to do with quality. I just think it's going to be, I bet you don't feel any difference. I bet you don't feel any difference. The new fenders are made in the same place as the GNL tributes for the same price with much cheaper electronics. I don't get the logic. Well, yeah, different companies, more or less. Making them out of the Court factory, I don't think that's true. It might be. So Fender has like 24 different factories that they use in Asia. I don't know if you know that or not. Just because it's made in Indonesia doesn't mean it's made at Court. So, that's what I want to dive into. I got a guy that can tell me all that stuff. I just haven't gotten a chance to talk to him about it. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sure it has something to do with whatever's going on in Mexico. I do agree. Again, I don't get into that stuff here too much, but obviously it's probably going to feel. We're going to feel it, you know? Soon eggs will be the same cost as Indonesian Telecaster. Yeah, so I just learned the other day that Georgia is the biggest chicken producer. Chicken is the biggest agriculture in Georgia. It's not peaches. That's South Carolina. Don't know if you didn't know that. But they had to halt everything because of bird flu. So, yeah. Here's an interesting take. I think Fender knows it's not going to get any more money for an MIM Fender, so they're not going to raise prices. So therefore, the Indonesian stuff is there to pick up the slack on the margins. Okay, so that could be true. However, what a lot of people don't realize is that there's way less margins in the cheaper guitars than there are in the more expensive ones. That sounds dumb to say. Like, as the words come out of my mouth, it sounds dumb to say that. You're like, well, of course, a more expensive guitar. But the margins on Indonesian guitars are incredibly tight. Incredibly tight. I mean, dollars tight. Okay? They're not doubling their money. They're not tripling their money on an Indonesian guitar. They are on a $800 Indonesian guitar. They might be making $100. Okay. It's ridiculous how tight the margins are. So, and they're coming from further, which hurts. So yeah, I don't think it's a choice that I don't think it's this is great logic to do this. I think this is a situation that they're having to deal with that is giving them the result. They have to do this. I don't think it's like, hey, we're going to make more money if we fool the people into thinking that these are standard guitars, even though they're just Squires with no Squire on them. They're not trying to screw you, right? It's not like that. It's not like, oh, hey, there's more profit if we do. It's not that. Because there's hardly any profit in them in the first place. So, yeah. Won't an Indonesian Fender cannibalize their Squire brand? So I don't know the answer to that. And I guess that's what we'll have to find out, right? We'll have to find out what they do with the rest of the brand, because when you have a classic Vibe Squire that's the same price, $599 or $499, or right in that area, yeah, they're going to have to refigure a bunch of branding for sure, which, whatever. They've done that before. They've done it a ton of times. They'll just say, oh, this is a new model of something, and you're like, well, yeah, you're just calling it. Remember when they called what was even the Made in Mexico stuff, what's it called, the plus ones, the Player and the Player Plus, and those used to be called something else. So they just changed the name and goofed the price around a little bit and goofed the features around a little bit. They're always going to do that. But it just is it's much more jarring when they go to Indonesia to do it, because Squire is already there. But again, just because it's made in Indonesia does not make it a $300 guitar or a $200 guitar, right? There's a lot of different plants in Indonesia with a lot of different price points and capabilities and etc. Yeah. So, there's a lot to it. I think a lot of folks assume way too much. Well, I know they do, because I know some of this stuff, how it works on the backside. And it's like, no, the public just gets it wrong. They just don't understand how the business works. And so I think we're just going to have to see it play out. I think there's a lot of things that the next 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months, we'll just have to see how it settles out. Because I think a lot of it's going to get kind of reconnoitered, Let's see. Squire has always been overseas, yeah. Yep. They've used a bunch of different companies or countries to make them. Kind of the new hotness, from what I was understanding from some people I was talking to this weekend who actually know, is if you're going to have something made in Asia, but you want it to be made really high end, it's Japan. So going back to Fujijin and those factories. I think it's the Andertons video that said that they were making them at the same place that PRS SE is made. Well, then that would be Cortec. And that's interesting. I don't know how that would be true because of the way PRS handles their business. So I don't know. We'll just have to see. My Indonesian Schecter is expensive, but it's excellent. No, I agree. I have an Indonesian Schecter and it's fantastic. No, there's a lot of really good guitars that come out of Indonesia. Really good. And I guess that's what I'm saying. I think people block things together and just say, well, if it's coming from this country, it's going to be a cheap guitar. It's not the case. Even China, right? You can get stuff from China. It's real expensive. Some of the most expensive and high-end and gnarly pocket knives come out of China. You can buy $1,000 pocket knife from China and it is perfect. Like, absolutely beyond perfect. And you can get a $3,000 guitar from China that's pretty much perfect. Those Eastmans are really, really good guitars. I don't like them. I don't care about them, but they are really good guitars. I love my 84 made in Japan Strat made at Fujijin. Yeah, I have an 85 that was made at Fujijin and I love it. What about Korea? I don't know. I don't hear much about Korea anymore. And again, this all has to do with economics. It just has to do with where it's cheaper to make stuff, where it's easier to deal with stuff. I will say I know a lot of, I don't know about the guitar side of things because you don't hear about Taiwan very much with guitar stuff, but I do know that I do know that SHOT Show just got over, and a bunch of companies that were making knives in China moved to Taiwan, which means they have to pay more because it's more expensive to make them in China or in Taiwan. But they didn't want to make them in China anymore, so they moved them to Taiwan. I don't know about guitars though. For Korea and China, I'm not sure, or in Korea and Taiwan, I'm not sure. Will they phase Squire out? I don't know. We'll just have to see. That's going to just be an interesting story to follow, right? We're just going to have to watch it. And honestly, does it matter? Who cares? To be honest with you, who cares? When you're buying an import guitar, I'm okay. This is my just going to say a moment. It doesn't matter. If you're buying a guitar, if you're buying a budget entry level import guitar, it doesn't matter where it's made. It doesn't. Doesn't matter if it comes from China. Doesn't matter if it comes from Indonesia. And there really aren't better or worse ones. Everybody says, well, I have this one from this and it's better than these years from whatever. Who cares? It's 2025. If you get the guitar in the mail, because you're going to buy it from Sweetwater or Amazon or somewhere and it sucks, send it back. That's it. It's a product. See, and that's the thing. A budget instrument, an entry-level instrument is a product to provide, to do a thing. So at that price point, it doesn't really matter. And I know to you, as a person, when you get it, you're excited to get it that day, and you need, people say, well, I need my guitar for, mental health and stuff. I get that. But that item that you're using is just a product at that point, right? So it doesn't matter where it comes from. If you don't like it, just send it back and get another one. If it's bad, send it back and get another one. Actually, no matter what price the guitar is, if it's bad, send it back and get another one. Otherwise, it'll never get better, because the manufacturers and the vendors and stuff will never be held accountable for that, and they'll never improve. So if the guitar is bad, send it back. End of story. So we never need to talk about quality control again, ever, because there's no point in it. If you have something that's not good, send it back. That's it. Problem solved. Do you add a couple of days on the thing? Yeah, absolutely. But it's the only way to fix it. So it doesn't really matter if this country makes a guitar better than that one or whatever. Now, when you get into stuff that costs more money, when we start talking about, Gibsons and Fenders and custom shop stuff and all, then you're going to be appreciating different things about that product, and you're going to view it differently, and you're going to have a different kind of purchase interaction that then it starts to matter. But other than that, if it's just a thing, doesn't matter where it comes from. Yeah, when it comes to import stuff, I don't care where it comes from, to tell you the truth. I mean, there are certain stuff I won't buy because of certain things, but usually that's about the company more for me than it is about where it comes from. And there are certain things that I will prefer based on where it comes from, but really when it comes down to it, a $250 or a $500 guitar, I don't care where it comes from. The ones that I'm going to buy, because I don't buy them, first of all, for me. I don't buy them, so it doesn't matter. But the ones that I do buy, I guess I can't totally say that, because I won't buy a Harley Benton. I won't buy any of that Firefly stuff, any of that junk. I won't buy any of that stuff. I just don't like. I don't like what they do to the guitar market. I'm not a fan of that. So I won't buy that stuff. But like where Squires are made, if I guess what I'm saying is that when I say I don't care where it comes from, if Squires say, well, we're going to make these ones in China, we're going to make these ones in Korea, we're going to make these ones in Indonesia. This one comes, there's a really nerdy people in Facebook groups and stuff. Well, my serial number says that it comes from this plant in Indonesia and it's better, and it was made on a Wednesday before 12, so it's better than the one that was on Thursday in this plant after 5. You know, like I don't care about any of that stuff. It's a $500 guitar. So in that respect, I don't care where it comes from. Yeah. Anyway, rant over. Cool. Well, I guess that's about that. Talked about NAMM, talked about all the guitars I liked. Oh, there was a Cole Clark thing that was pretty cool, but I couldn't find that either. So yeah, I thought there was some neat stuff at NAMM, but I wasn't even at that show, and I had a lot more fun at the other thing that I did. And I'm very, very stoked to be a part of this project with Texas Toast. If you want one of these guitars, you can. If you want one of these things, let me know. Because, like I said, I got this one left, and I got another black one left with humbuckers in it, actually. We've got a black one with humbuckers and this gold one with P90s in it. Those are the only 2 left. And we're talking about another pre-order. So let me know if you are lefty or if you want some other pickups in it or whatever. If you're interested and you saw the blue one, but it doesn't have the right pickups in it, or you saw the gold one and you wanted humbuckers or etc., let me know. And we might be able to do something for you on a pre-order situation. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for hanging out, and we will probably see you tomorrow. I'm going to make another video tomorrow, I think.